Melania Trump has been notably silent as more and more evidence has come out that her husband Donald committed so many crimes. Now, she did come up initially in the story. You might recall, following the raid, Trump put out a message saying, "Just learned that agents went through the First Lady's closets and rummaged through her clothing and personal items. Surprisingly, left area in a relative mess. Wow." I don't know what the relative mess thing means. Is that him implying that she normally has it pretty messy, but this is relatively more messy? Or does he mean that they didn't really make much of a mess relative to normal? Either way, it's weird. Debate amongst yourselves. But he was angry about this, clearly, about the raid and even about them going through her stuff. She, according to 5 different people who spoke to CNN, has really tried to not talk about this, to not get drawn in personally. And there's a few reasons for that, and every one of them is interesting. Here is a quote about her response, not her vocal response, that didn't really exist, but what she was thinking. She cared, but not like he cared. It annoyed her. This is an FBI raid of your home, or supposedly your home, supposedly the place you're supposed to live. They note that it was her invasion of privacy that prompted her to get upset, not the nature of the investigation that sparked the search, or what it meant, or might possibly come to mean legally for her husband. So, all told, doesn't really care, not that interested. But to the extent that she does care, it's that they went through her slacks, not that her husband might get locked up over it, or might have details about nuclear defense. That's an interesting little mini hill in this scandal to choose to not even really die on, but like be mildly peeved on.
Man, we might find out who the mole is because she does not care. But also, who knows how close she could have been to all this stuff. She probably distanced herself because she knows how much of a criminal her husband is. And she's like, I'm just gonna kind of not know. Really fast, I was watching this Tim Donaghy doc, this Untold, it was on Netflix, this Untold documentary about Tim Donaghy, who was a former NBA ref. And he was doing point stuff and he was betting on his games as he was refereeing, all that stuff. He got busted by the FBI. And his wife was like, I had some suspicion something was happening, but I just didn't want to know. So I just stayed away. And I told him, if you're doing something, Timmy, you probably shouldn't do it. And that's all. I feel like she was probably took the route that also Melania was taking. She's like, Donnie, I feel like you're up to something, and I'm just gonna stay in my quarters over here and make sure that none of your fingers touch my clothes, and also none of your documents get near my jumpsuits, because your orange ones over there are definitely gonna be needed later.
Well, and she was apparently pretty confident about that. She apparently was certain that nothing of his would ever be found in her closet or even in her bedroom. Man, 2 words, her bedroom, so much meaning. It's only a few syllables, a handful of letters. Her bedroom. Anyway, she would never allow him to keep his stuff in her room, and he would frankly never ask, says one of the people. Damn. That's not even that weird. My wife has a closet. I feel no need to put anything in there. But I know that if I did, it's not like she'd get mad. Nor would she have the grounds to be, because she's taken so much of my clothing that if an extra piece of clothing ended up in there, she was gonna steal it anyway. I'm just getting ahead of the curve, but she apparently has always considered what Donald does to be separate from her. Decisions he makes about his business are his decisions, not hers. And I guess, look, inside of a couple, those are the sorts of choices that you can make. It's just the distance is so far, geographic, like emotional. There's so much distance there. I don't know if she would be the mole, just because to be a mole seems to require some sort of emotional investment. And I don't even think she can get worked up enough to betray him.
Yeah, I said this before earlier this morning. Remember when he first got into office and then suddenly Melania was staying in New York? It was like, she's not going with him to DC. She was there for months at first. And then finally people were ridiculing them so much. She's like, damn it. I thought I could get away with staying away from this guy. The best thing about him winning this election was that I don't have to be around his ass anymore. This continues to get illustrated over and over and over again with their relationship, which again, that's their personal business. But when it comes to then you got documents in the house, maybe it's good that she distanced herself, or maybe she didn't. I don't know. Again, we still haven't found the rat, as Trump and his associates have been calling it.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.